23. And Mike owns a company called Bonstone. It's a premier premier adhesive, stone adhesives company in really the world, as far as I know. There's maybe a couple of, peers, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about Bonstone, Mike.
Bonstone has been around. This is our 60th year anniversary. We believe it's 60 years. Unfortunately, our founder passed before we were able to verify, but his recollection at the end there was he thought he made his first glue in '62. So we're taking that and celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. We started out with adhesives for natural stone. The founder, King Hart, his focus was primarily on natural stones like limestones, some granites back then, but mostly limestones back then. And the adhesives that were on the market available at that time were not all that high quality. And King, being a chemist himself, says, I can do better than that. And he made his own epoxies, and very quickly the word spread. And he quit his job at the quarry and started Bonstone. And then the company has grown quite aggressively since then. When I took over in '92, King had already expanded to a lot of different types of products other than epoxies. And since '92, we've added a whole lot of other chemistries as well, and expanded our product range to cover not just glues and adhesives, but also surface restoration products for repairing cracks, dings, chips, that sort of thing.
Awesome. And how did you get into the business?
At the time in '92, I was working for Pittsburgh Paint, PPG, and a friend of mine who had recently left the company went to a distributor, working for a distributor, and he came to me after a couple months working there, and he says, hey, I've got this company, one of my customers, I know your background, Mike, is epoxies, and this customer has an epoxy business, and he's at the point where he wants to retire. Would you by any chance be interested? And I said, well, sure. Never pass up an opportunity. So it was kind of like luck, fate, destiny, whatever you want to call it. But as a combination of knowing the right people, lucky enough to know the right people, and just being in the right place at the right time. So I met with King. We talked quite a bit about what the business was. I didn't know much at all about stone adhesives. I knew the chemistry, of course,
right,
but not much about the products and the markets. I learned very quickly. He put me to work in the production area for a while to get familiar with how the products are made, how they're mixed, how they're packaged, how they're shipped. And then after a couple months of that, working part-time for him in the evenings, he says, are you still interested? Do you want to buy the company? And it's like, well, yeah. So there we go. And that's been a great ride ever since. Just been a lot of fun.
So that was '92?
'92, yeah.
You said your background is in chemistry. Tell us a little bit about that.
I've got a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from the University of Missouri at Rolla, with a polymer emphasis. So my first career jobs were in the coatings industry, paints and protective coatings. I worked for a resin company called Reichhold, and that's where I learned all about the epoxy chemistry, the two-component reactive type chemistry. And then after a couple of years at Reichhold, we moved up to Wisconsin. My wife got a job up there. I moved with her, and lucky enough, her company, PPG, hired me as well. So I transitioned from a resin chemist into a coatings chemist, and I got a lot of valuable experience there with different types of coatings technology. I learned a lot about water-based products. Worked a lot in the UV cure for wood coatings. Either floor coatings or 3D furniture type coatings. That was a very interesting assignment. And then my last assignment there at PPG before I met King and went into Bonstone was they had me as a production liaison. Frequently when you develop a product in the lab, it's real easy to make it in the lab, but when you try to scale it up to the production, there's all sorts of things that can go haywire. So PPG, as you can imagine, they're making thousands of gallons of paint at a time, and they were having issues, understandably. So they needed someone to troubleshoot that, someone with a background in the formulations and the chemistry aspect. And I'll tell you, that was one of my most fascinating jobs I had in my whole career, was liaising with production and trying to find what happened to this batch and why there were issues with it. It was very, very interesting, and it taught me a lot about production. I learned a lot about pumps, tanks, transfer efficiencies, piping, thermal, tanks, heat tracing, all sorts of things. It was very, very interesting.
So you're able to take all that knowledge with you when you went to Bonstone, and
because we have a plant.
Bonstone, in essence, is a production company.
Exactly. Yeah. So that experience is very valuable. Very valuable.
So what do you do to test your products, and do you test other manufacturers' products as well? How does that?
Yeah.
How do you reconcile those things?
Yeah, we have
together?
several different laboratories. One we call the wet lab, where we'll actually mix the adhesives and the components and cure them there. And then, depending on what properties we're testing, we may actually assemble, if we're doing a bolt pull-out, for instance, we'll actually drill holes in the stone, put epoxy in the hole, put the bolt in the hole, let that cure, and then we'll take that over to our other machine, our other test lab, which is a physical test lab, and that's where we do destructive testing. We'll pull things apart, we'll break things. We also have a color, a UV machine that mimics the effects of UV light from the sun, so we can check the effect of the resistance to yellowing.
Long-term exposure to sun.
Exposure outdoors. Also climate. It's not just the UV light, it's the freeze-thaw aspects of weathering, moisture. We can test all that in our different laboratories.
So you have on-site laboratories? Or?
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Wow, okay. Cool. So UV coatings? Are you
that was
getting
fun.
into UV coatings?
At Bonstone, probably not. I mean, we might do a little bit of spot repair type things, like
the smaller stuff.
Yeah, the
chip repairs.
Exactly, like that. But I don't believe we're going to get into floor coatings or furniture coatings or anything like that. That's just not our skill.
So what would you say your best sellers are right now?
The best sellers,
like what people are really going after, purchasing.
It was probably three or four that come to mind. One of them is actually one of King's original formulas.
Really?
From almost 60 years ago, maybe 50, 55 years ago. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So King was a great chemist, and he developed some really cool products, some of which we still sell today, some of which we sell a lot of today. We've also had, of course, our own products since I took over in '92. We've got one of our first products we developed was the edge system. The touchstone edge system for fabricating kitchen countertops. And even though that product is 30 years old, it's still one of our best sellers. We've, of course, improved upon that technology with more modern formulas, but that one's still one of our big sellers. And then about 12 years ago, we came out with a new product based on consumer demand. The market, initially the impetus came from the countertop market. The kitchen counter market was really morphing into demand for like the lighter colored stones like white marbles.
Right.
And the adhesives at the time, 12 years ago, would not work as well as we anticipated. And not just us, all of our competitors too had the same issues. Epoxies in general, with that kind of porous stone, they would seep into the pores of the stone, as they should, to give you good adhesion. But with white marbles, it's like when concrete gets wet when it rains. It turns dark. Same thing happens with the white marbles. So we had to develop a new product that would still give us the outstanding adhesion and longevity and durability.
Without the darkening.
But would not have that staining issue. So we came up with this new technology, and we call it a modified polyurethane hybrid. The trade name is Glacier. And that has been one of our most stellar products that we've ever come out with
from the beginning.
60 years. It just rocketed. We couldn't keep up with the first couple of years, as you know. We were running shy, but
we fantastic
got that all figured out now. But that's one of our most popular products now. And also, we learned it also works phenomenally on porcelain, which, as you know, is an up-and-coming construction material, not just for countertops, but also for exterior building cladding.
Right, and pool surrounds. And
And Glacier works, of course, extremely well outdoors because it's UV stable, non-yellowing.
Right. So I've done a couple of jobs where we've had to have, we used actually the clear gel exterior. Yeah. That's a modified urethane as well, right?
The clear gel is an epoxy.
Epoxy? Yeah. Well, you guys have color matched it for me.
Okay, good.
Custom color match, perfect.
Okay.
So talk a little bit about how you can do that for your clients in terms of like small batch, large batch. What is that? How does that work? Because I have a couple of experiences with you, and they were all perfect. I mean,
Well, thank you. I
the
appreciate
colors
that.
were perfect.
And I hope if it wasn't perfect, you'd let me know.
Oh, of course it would. You'd hear me.
Yeah.
I'd be yelling from. You'd be hearing me in Wisconsin. I'd be yelling from California. No,
Well, my background at PPG, of course, with all the different thousands of colors they have, helped me a lot at Bonstone here because I have a good background in color matching. And it's simply a matter of taking your base clear gel, if you will, and adding different colors to it. But it's a lot more complicated than that. So we have a color computer to help us out with that. So a customer will give us a sample of the stone, and we'll run it on our color computer, and then it'll give us a good starting point for how to match that color with our adhesive or our patch material. But again, it goes a lot beyond that first initial. There's iterations after iterations, and you go around, you find yourself chasing your tail sometimes, but the color computer is an enormous help in helping us zero in to the bullseye and getting the right color.
And as far as like, if I have a small project, it's just one house, or I'm doing a small repair, how large a batch do I need to purchase to get a color match? Is it going to be is it a case? Is it 3 cases of product?
It kind of depends on the product.
Yeah.
Our most popular one for that type of patching job is our last patch limestone. And because of the constraints of our production equipment, we mandate 6 quarts. I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot, but 6 quarts of last patch limestone.
Yeah, that's a lot. But
it's a little bit of money, but it's that's about the minimum we would need to accurately color match. Because when you start color matching with
you need a
tiny amounts, one drop of tint too much, and you can mess everything up. So we try to have as large a batch as we can, without requiring the customer to buy a drum.
6 quarts is. It sounds like it is a lot, but it's also not a lot when you're thinking about the perfect color for a limestone repair project that might use 3 quarts.
Yeah, and we don't want to give the customer a half-ass, pardon my French, but a bad color match. Even if they don't.
So worth it. I think I had to buy 6 quarts of the clear gel. It's been a while since I did that project, but maybe it was 12 quarts. I needed a lot at that time. We were doing a pool surround. We did every line in the pool, and he was losing 6 inches of water a day. And we put the clear gel in everything. We cut drains in the bottom because he had along the backside of the pool. It was a waterfall and had drains and water. It was kind of going in.
Nice.
And we cut slots in the grout and drains. And every one of those lines is still intact today. It's been
Excellent.
like 5 years.
That's great.
It hasn't lost any water at all. I don't know. I didn't promise anything. I'm not going to tell him that clear gel is going to hold the water in. But I told him it would hold its own, and it wouldn't fail. So what's on your agenda? What's new for Bonstone? What's coming up? Anything?
We've got some new packaging options. We've got some product like Glacier, for instance.
Yeah.
Custom colors with Glacier is very difficult for us to put into a cartridge because we have our own cartridge filling equipment. But to make that equipment cost effective, we really need to fill hundreds of cartridges.
Right.
And if someone wants a custom color, for us to fill, say, 10 cartridges, we'd wind up wasting about 100 cartridges in our machine and our piping just to get that machine running.
Primed.
So we've struggled with custom colors with Glacier, but now we found a solution. We found a new packaging option that is, it's like large toothpaste tubes, if you want to. An analogy.
Right.
And that kind of packaging is very easy for us to package small quantities, maybe 5 tubes or 10 tubes at a time. So we're excited about offering to the marketplace the option to purchase custom colors
of
Glacier in a very convenient package for a reasonable price.
Yeah. And we can do, probably do colors, several colors that would match. Because we do a lot of granite repairs in Southern California. California, the West Coast is inundated with granite repairs, rusted rod repairs, front and rear sink rails. You could probably do a few colors that would give us a better range for that as well. And those smaller packages, the toothpaste tubes, those are perfect.
Be happy to help you out with that. The other thing about those tubes is Glacier can be a little moisture sensitive, so if you open a can of Glacier, even if you put the lid back on, air and moisture has gotten into that can, and it gives you a limited shelf life.
Right.
But the beauty about these tubes, as anyone who uses toothpaste tubes knows, you roll them up as you go along, And what's in the tube is just, there's product but no air.
No air.
So the shelf life of these tubes, even if they're open, is years.
What would you say the shelf life of a can is once it's opened?
It depends on if you're talking Phoenix or you're talking Seattle. It could be a huge difference.
Yeah.
But typically we say about once you open the can, the clock, as they say, is ticking. You got about a month before it starts crusting around the lid, and we've even had the lids get glued on. You know, it turns out to be an excellent glue for metal.
Yeah, and plastic.
Yeah.
I've had issues with with urethanes on plastic as well. Is there anything else you want to talk about today?
Yeah, there's some other new products. I don't want to give too much away because our competition's probably listening too. But we're looking into some new types of chemistry that are going to offer some new benefits that's currently not available on the marketplace. And I don't want to say too much more about that, but stay tuned. In 2023, we hope to come out with some pretty cool products.
I can't wait to see them.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you being here, Mike.
Well, thank you, Ted. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for everything you do for us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Real quick, how can they get a hold of Bonstone products? I know they go to
Bonstone.com.
Bonstone.com. You have a lot of distributors nationwide as well.
Yes, we do. I think the last count was 54, I believe. And it's not just nationwide, it's in Canada as well.
Around the world.
Yeah, and around the world, But primarily North America is most of our business. But yeah, we've got a network of distributors. You can go to our website, bonstone.com, and we have a distributor finder on that website. You could also call our office, 1-800-425-2214.
If they have to, what custom colors or any any issues, or not issues, but any questions regarding the products, so just give you a call. And
absolutely, we prefer to sell through our distributors as much as we can because we want to protect the business for the distributor. They're very valued business partners with us, and we appreciate that and want to protect their business. We offer our services as technical service to support the customer, to support the distributor.
Right.
So if you have questions about the product availability, the product pricing, contact your distributor. If you have questions about how to use the product, contact us.
Absolutely. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.